The timestamp on the last journal entry blurred, my eyes fixed instead on the photo beneath it. Clara, her face etched with a fear I'd never seen, standing next to a uniformed officer, a much younger boy huddled behind her, his eyes wide with terror. This wasn't just a secret. It was a chasm. My hands trembled, the warmth of the cabin's fireplace suddenly feeling like a furnace against my skin. I could hear Clara's faint footsteps outside, returning from her walk, and a cold dread settled deep in my gut. Just hours earlier, that chasm hadn't existed. Just hours earlier, the world had been simpler, painted in the warm hues of a promised future. My name is Leo, and at 24, I've always been about building things, not just physically, as an aspiring architect, but structurally, morally. Honesty, transparency, those were the foundations of my life, the principles I believed in. And Clara, my partner of 3 years, embodied them perfectly. Or so I thought. We had just started looking at apartments together, poring over listings late into the night, picturing our shared future, our books on the same shelves, our coffee mugs side by side in the morning. It felt real, tangible. Clara was everything I wanted, intelligent, kind, with a laugh that could brighten the dullest day. We rarely had disagreements, and when we did, they were resolved with open conversations, never resentment. The idea of a secret, especially one as monumental as this, was completely alien to our relationship. This weekend getaway was meant to be a celebration of that future. We'd rented a cozy cabin tucked away in a quiet forest, the air crisp and clean, the only sounds the rustle of leaves and the crackle of the fire. We spent Saturday hiking, cooking together, and simply existing in comfortable silence, wrapped in a blanket of contentment. Sunday morning, Clara decided to go for a solo walk, wanting to capture the morning light with her phone camera. I stayed behind, lingering over my coffee, enjoying the peaceful quiet. Her laptop was on the small wooden table, still open from when she checked the weather earlier. I'm not usually one to snoop, but I sometimes teased Clara about her messy desktop. A small, encrypted folder icon caught my eye, labeled simply private. My curiosity, a playful, harmless thing usually, nudged me. It felt out of place for Clara, who was so open about everything. I tried her birthday, then mine, then the anniversary of our first date. Nothing. Then, on a whim, I typed in the name of her childhood cat, a story she'd told me countless times. The folder clicked open. What unfolded on the screen systematically dismantled my reality. It wasn't a hidden love affair or some petty deception. It was a collection of meticulously kept journals, dated over the past 5 years, filled with detailed financial transactions, legal appointments, and desperate pleas. And photos. Photos of Clara, looking strained and exhausted, always with the same much younger boy. The journal spoke of Mark, her estranged younger brother, whom she'd always dismissed with a dismissive wave, saying he was troubled and best left alone. But these entries painted a different picture. Mark wasn't just troubled, he was deep in serious legal trouble, facing charges I could barely comprehend. Clara hadn't estranged herself. She had been covertly shouldering the burden of his existence, his legal fees, his living expenses, putting herself in increasingly precarious financial and even personal situations, all while maintaining a flawless facade with me. My mind reeled. Every conversation we'd ever had about family, about money, about our future, suddenly felt like a carefully constructed performance. The fear for her safety was overwhelming. Some of the journal entries hinted at dangerous encounters, shady characters, but even deeper was the sting of betrayal. She had lied to me, not once, but for years. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted implicitly, the woman I was planning a life with, was a stranger. Clara's footsteps grew louder, closer to the cabin door. The key turned in the lock. The quiet click echoed in the silence of the room, a stark contrast to the deafening roar in my ears. I could hear her humming softly as she pushed the door open. My gaze darted from the incriminating screen back to the door, then to my trembling hands. Do I confront her?
Let the truth explode between us, shattering everything we've built? Or do I close the laptop, try to understand the silent agony she must have carried, and decide if the foundations of our love could ever be rebuilt on such fractured ground? The air was thick with the weight of her return, and I knew, with chilling certainty, that my life, our lives, would never be the same again.